Hi guys, good morning. I guess it's not the morning, it's the afternoon, but for you guys, I have no idea when I'm posting this, so it could be the morning. You never know. But I read books in November and we're gonna talk about them for fun. And it's also gonna be a bookmas video because I'm turning every video I make this month into a bookmas video because otherwise I'm gonna lose morale, I guess. Here, I'll start off with some stats really quickly. So I read 11 books this month. That's a little bit less than I've been reading recently. Why in the world did I try to film right now? My glasses are driving me crazy. So this is a no glasses video, so let's hope I can see still. I read 11 books this month, which is a little bit less than I've been reading recently. I was reading like 14 books pretty consistently the last couple months, but I had a lot of stuff going on this month. I was filming a bunch of videos, I was editing, I got sick a couple times, and I also finished reading a gigantic fantasy book. So I'd say this gigantic fantasy book counts as like 4 other books. So I still read about 14 books. So out of my TBR, I had 14 books on my TBR because it's my own fault for trying to film when they get home from school. It's my own fault. Okay, I had 14 books on my TBR, which was ridiculously ambitious, like always. And most of them were library books that I ended up returning halfway through the month because I was like, I'm not gonna read these. I gave a lot of them to like my younger sister to read in case she wanted to, because she was wanting books to read. So I gave, I think 4 or 5 of them for her to read, and then she enjoyed them. And I ended up reading like 1 or 2. So in reality, on my TBR books I was like legitimately gonna get to this month, there was 9 books on my TBR. So I read 6 out of that genre books, which is not bad. 6 out of 14, still not bad. And 6 out of 9, still not bad. All right, and out of ratings, I had 1 4-star, 1 4.5, 1 4.75, and 8 5-star books. I had a ridiculously good reading month this month, and I think mostly because I was reading a lot of books or series that I've really enjoyed. I wasn't like going out of my comfort zone for most of these books. A lot of them were rereads or authors I know I enjoy. I'm sorry, there's probably going to be noises in the background of this video. I can't do anything about it. I can't tell them to be quiet because who am I to tell kids to not have fun? So it's just gonna be loud, and I'm very sorry about that. So the first book I read this month was Fragments by Dan Wells. I rated this 5 stars. This is the second book in the partial sequence, and I love this book more than the first. I think I rated the first like 4 stars or something like that, and it's the second series I've read by Dan Wells, and I think it's solidified my love of his writing in general. So I'm gonna go talk to them. This is getting out of hand. So it was my little brother and all of his friends. Well, that happened. I asked them to go outside for 10 minutes and they were good sports about it. My little brother was like, we can go jump on the trampoline, and I'm like, yes, please do that. So I have 10 minutes to get this done, or less if they decide to come in before then. But that makes sense why they were playing recorders, because my siblings normally don't play recorders, and if they do, they actually like do it like normal. So the first book I read was Fragments by Dan Wells. I rated this 5 stars. I love this way more than I thought I was going to because I really enjoyed the first book, but I wasn't obsessed about it. And then I read the second book because I was interested enough to keep reading. And it just like, in the first book, he creates this whole world, but he leaves a lot of clues in it that you don't really realize are clues for what's going to happen in the rest of the series until you read the next book, and it like pulls on all those different things where you kind of think maybe the story's kind of resolved and you kind of see where it's going, but no, there's a full like U-turn, and I'm like, okay. And also Dan Wells does not pull his punches. Like, I kept expecting characters that I loved and like things to happen in ways that like would turn out fine for everyone, and nope, he does not pull his punches at all. This is a dystopian book, by the way. I'm not a huge dystopian reader, but I love Dan Wells, which, you know, is kind of how I approach this month, as you'll see. I also read Ruins, the third book in the series, rated that 5 stars also. The conclusion was really good. I think it was, I think I might have enjoyed the conclusion to Hunger Games a little bit more than this one, but this one was also up there with like Hunger Games conclusion, where it was like, okay, I can see that legitimately being a way that how this would end. All right, so the next book I finished was Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. I think I finished this like halfway through the month or something like that. And so most of the books that I ended up reading was at the end of the month, because these books take me like a month to get through. And I normally don't pick up other physical books when I'm reading these, because I'm trying to get through these. And if I pick up other physical books, I'm just gonna not read it. That's what happened a couple years ago. Sorry, I went running and my asthma, I didn't run, I just like moved around and stuff, and now my heart rate's up higher and I have asthma, so it's making me like unable to breathe. But I finished reading this book. Fantastic book, great book. I don't think I fully remembered anything that went on in Oathbringer when I read it the first time. Like even now, oh yeah, okay, that was the plot. Like, see, it's hard for me to remember the plots of these books after they're done, because they kind of build upon each other. So I kind of like remember where we are in the story, but I can't really remember how we got there. That's the same problem I have with Rhythm of War that I'm reading right now, is I remember nothing that happened in this book. I remember how a lot of the storylines ended, but I don't remember how we got there. And so I'm reading it and I'm like, oh wow, that's like really important. Like, why didn't I remember this then? It's just gone. I don't remember it. Anyway, good book. Really enjoying my reread. And then I decided I was gonna pick up a bunch of random palette cleansers. And by random, most of them are on my TBR. So we've got With a Little Luck by Marissa Meyer. This is the second book in the, I think, the Fortuna Beach series by her. And it's so good, actually. I really liked the first book, which is why I picked up the second, and I loved the second book. I think it's gonna follow either her family or like her friend group of love stories. I rated this 5 stars, but I'm kind of like questioning the rating, because it gave me 5-star feelings, but there was stuff in the book that kind of made me want to rate it like a 4.75, just because there was, I don't remember if there was swearing. There might be swearing in that book. And there was also some just like remarks and stuff that were made that I was like, oh, I don't really enjoy that. So it might be more of a 4.75, but it's between 4.75 and 5-star. I really, really loved the story of this book. The character is really nerdy, the main character, and it's from the perspective of a guy. It was really, really fun to read it. And I don't want to ruin anything, because if I tell you like why I love the book so much, I'm going to ruin literally the whole plot. But it was kind of obvious from the beginning what was going on, at least for me, because I read so many like romance novels and stuff like that, so like I know where it was going. But it was really good. I love the characters. I really love that world. I hope she comes out with some more books in the series. I bet she will, because I think these have been really well received, but I really like that one. Forget Me Not by Sarah M. Eden. Oh, I just hit myself in the face. Oh, that was not fun. Forget Me Not by Sarah M. Eden. I bent my copy and I didn't realize it. I have all of my books in a stack, and I guess at some point when I was moving them, like the cover got bent up, and I'm actually really sad about it because I love these books. This one is, I've explained this in so many videos, but I can never explain this series way too many times. So this is a prequel series to 2 series that act like interconnected standalones. I'm making a mole of this. This is basically a prequel series to another series that I loved that series so very much. And this is the parents of the children in that series. And you get to see like the main character girl. You get to see her in that series as she's like the mom of all of them. And I love this book. Love this book. I literally just like started reading it and listening to it, and I started crying because I love these characters so much. And this is like one of the only times you get to like see the guy's perspective. I love her books so much. They're so beautiful. 5 stars, obviously. Lily of the Valley, the second book in the series. I was reading these, by the way, so I could get to the 4th book in the series, which is Snapdragons. I still haven't picked up Snapdragons because I'm trying to finish Rhythm of War. I told myself I can read it after I finish Rhythm of War, so it might be something I'll read in December. I don't know if I want to put it on my TBR or not, because sometimes when I put stuff on my TBR, it's not as satisfying when I get to it, but we'll see. I read Lily of the Valley. This one, okay, number 1, it's just a little bit longer than this book. You can't really tell, but it's like, yeah, that's a little bit easier. It's like maybe 50 pages more than the other book. 244, and this one is, oh, I guess they're really similar sizes. I take it back. This one just felt longer. It felt like it took, when you read a book, sometimes you know, like logically, like a month goes by in world, but it doesn't feel like a month goes by because you're so invested in the characters. This one felt like the month went by. Like I could feel every second of that month, and mostly because it took the characters time to figure out stuff about themselves, but it just felt really long. And when I read it, I like understood, honestly, I understood why it was taking so long, and she's a fantastic author, so like it's still a really good book. I still rated it 4 stars, but it just felt like the ending specifically dragged on a bit for me, especially because you get the guy recognizes his feelings basically halfway through the book. Like, he knows that he loves her, and like he like knows exactly what's going on, but she's completely oblivious at that point. And so it's a little bit difficult to read from there because you kind of know how it's gonna end. But when it does end, it's good. I still really enjoyed it. I love all of her books. It wasn't quite as good as the rest of the series to me, but I still really liked this book, and I liked the main character, Guy. He has social anxiety and needs to like spend time by himself to recharge and stuff, so I really enjoyed that part of it. I don't know. I have conflicting feelings on it. I still really liked it. Still a 4-star. Leaping Beauty and Other Animal Fairy Tales by Gregory Maguire. This one was so cute. It's just like a little chapter book that like it has pictures and stuff, and it just is fairy tales, but the animals are the main characters, like the title says. And it was really, really cute. I think I would let my siblings read it if I didn't enjoy it so much because they would destroy my book. But I let my siblings read it. Like, it's just a cute, like, I'd read it to little kids as bedtime stories. Like, they're really cute. I rated that one 5 stars for its genre. Out of all the books I read this year, it's probably more like a 3-star on my like enjoyment and memory level, but I loved it for the genre it is. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say about it. It was cute though. After that, I read Dawn Shard by Brandon Sanderson. This is the novella in between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War, and it also kind of would help you understand the Sunlit Man if you haven't read if you have read the Sunlit Man, or you were going to read the Sunlit Man. The Sunlit Man is also a Cosmere, I was gonna say novella, but it's just a Cosmere novel that takes place, including some of the, I was gonna say characters, more like the ideas and concepts in this book, I guess. Brandon Sanderson is confusing, but it's confusing when you try to explain it, because if you explain something, you have to explain the entirety of the entire plot, and then you ruin things, and that's horrible, and that's the only reason it's hard to explain. But I did really enjoy this. I understood it a whole lot more than when I read it the first time, because when I read it the first time, I don't think I was using my brain at all. This was a 5 stars. Yeah. Can you tell I'm getting tired? Next, I finished Fleur de Lis by Sarah M. Eden. Why is my hair over everything? Number 1, this cover. All of her covers of this series are so pretty, but I loved this one. It was so sweet, because all these books are dual perspective, and it was so sweet to see them both fall in love with each other, and how he's had rejections in the past, and yet he still loves her. And it is literally the cutest thing to see in the whole world, is just the two of them falling in love. And there's never really even a time where they're like, no, I don't love that woman. It's just like, yeah, I love her. I'm gonna do anything I can for her. And she's like, yeah, I love him. I'm gonna do anything I can for him. And it's like, that's so sweet. This one's 5 stars. Really loved it. I'm so excited to pick up Snapdragons, which is the 4th book in the series. Haven't yet. Like I said, I'll read it probably later this month. 2 more books I listened to this month. Now, for the rest of the month, after I read Fleur de Lis, actually, after I read Dawn Shard, I was in the middle of Fleur de Lis. I listened to this one because I read the physical version, so I was listening to them this time. And then I read Dawn Shard, and I immediately picked up Rhythm of War. Currently, I am, pretty much exactly 600 pages through, 604 pages, which is about halfway, which is not bad, because once you get past this point, basically, it's so much easier, because stuff is happening, you uncover secrets, up to there is kind of the rising action and exposition, and then once you get there, it's like, okay, I can just keep going from here. But I was reading this one for the rest of the month, so I only read 2 more books. So I listened to Dark When Forgotten when I was on my trip up north. This one is only an audiobook. It's by Brandon Sanderson and Dan Wells. Now, the only reason I listened to this was because it was by Brandon Sanderson and Dan Wells, because they're both 2 authors that I love their books, and I read something from both of them this month. And this one was a book written as a podcast where she's uncovering a conspiracy. I'll just say that. I think the way that they market it kind of spoils a big twist in the book, so we'll just put it as a conspiracy. If you want to listen to this book, I would recommend not looking up a single thing about it and just listening to it, knowing that it's made like a podcast and there is some creepy stuff going on. I'll just say that. I don't like creepy stuff. So I rated it 4.75 stars because 5 stars are books that I'd probably reread. And I don't think I'm ever going to reread this book. But I literally forgot that this wasn't a real podcast at one point, and I was sitting in my room kind of like this because it kind of gets scary, and I was like, wait a second, none of this is real. Like, I'm not going to be attacked. I'm gonna be fine. But it was really, at one point I literally gasped because something like, I kind of suspected something like it was going to happen. When it did happen, I was like actually shook because I didn't expect it to go that far. It was so interesting. I really liked that book. Me thinking about it and wanting to rate it 5 stars, but the creepiness I got from it, I don't want to experience that creepiness again. So that was gonna be a 4.5. Okay, and then the last book I listened to this month was The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. Now, I just decided I wanted to reread all the books after making my books I'm grateful for video because I was like, I wanted to reread all the books in all of it. And I was like, I guess the only one I can like probably do is the Chronicles of Narnia because there isn't like a really long wait time for a lot of them. And for most of the books, I wanted to listen to them because a lot of the times I like to read a book on my first time around because it's easier for me to understand what's going on when I'm reading the words on paper. Whereas when I'm listening to a book, I like it to be a reread because it's easier for me to like kind of zone out a little bit and come back and know what's going on in the story and not miss anything. So I listened to The Magician's Nephew. I rated this one 4.5 stars just because this is the only one I feel like, besides The Last Battle, but that one's kind of a conclusion, so that's different, but it's the only one that I feel like doesn't really stand on its own. It very much feels like a prequel, and that's not a bad thing. I actually really enjoyed having a prequel to the events that happen in, you know, the Chronicles of Narnia, but it didn't feel quite as strong as the other books to me, especially since I have since listened to, you know, the Chronicles, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and The Horse and His Boy, and stuff like that. It just didn't feel as strong, but I still really loved it. I love these books, so 4.5 stars for that. Kind of a smaller stack this month, but these are the books I read this month, and I'm actually really glad I was able to read as many books as I read because, like I said, it was kind of a crazy month. And the fact that I managed to get 8 5-star books in 1 month, even though 4 of them were rereads, that's 4 new 5-star books. That is really impressive, actually. So I'll take that. I will take that. But I'm gonna go do something else with my day because those loud kids are probably gonna come back at some point. And I also need to edit videos and things like that. But I will be back at some point. I don't know when this is going up. At some point with another bookmas video and my TBR for this month, which I'm so excited about actually. Even though I never read the entirety of my TBR. That should be a goal for next year. Anyway, I will see you guys next month for a wrap up, and if you want to keep watching bookmas videos, I should have some more out either previously or soon. I've literally no idea what my order is because I've changed all of my plans because that's just what happens in life, you know, is you change your plans. Love y'all so much. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.